Hi.
Hi, Miss.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Miss.
Hello,
Hi,
Miss.
how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Miss.
Okay. Let me disable the waiting room. Okay. Welcome back. Those who have been attending with me this last month, and welcome those who are here in this room for the first time. Well, for those who don't know me, vamos a empezar en español. Para los que no me conocen, soy la profesora Lilia Diegues, ¿sí? Conmigo van a estar cursando inglés coloquial, inglés técnico 2 para mecatrónica o nivel B1 plus B2 para coloquial, digo, para industrial y petróleos. Bueno, con respecto al curso, otra vez tenemos un número alto de alumnos, entonces vamos a tener que aprovechar al máximo lo que puedan hacer ustedes solos, por su parte, la práctica individual. eh, y acá en clases un poco las explicaciones, la teoría, las prácticas con un compañero, ¿sí? Em, bien, con respecto a la promoción, que me imagino que es un tema de interés para muchos, la promoción, igual que en B1, se obtiene rindiendo y aprobando 3 exámenes parciales, 2 orales y 1 escrito. Se tiene que tener un promedio entre los tres de 75 y todos tienen que estar aprobados en primera instancia, o sea que si alguno se desaprueba y se rinde, se recupera en instancia recuperatoria, ya no se tiene la posibilidad de la promoción, ¿sí? Por más que se llegue al promedio. Además tienen 80% de asistencia que completar y eh, el 90% de los trabajos prácticos orales para la promoción y eh, hay en este nivel una serie de quizzes gramaticales que se rinden al final de cada unidad, pero bueno, vamos a ver cómo lo manejamos, porque si el número de alumnos es muy alto, vamos a ver si lo hacemos unidad por medio, ¿de acuerdo? Em, esos quizzes son la idea es que mantengan actualizado el estudio de la gramática y después no se les junte todo eh, en el parcial, ¿sí? Para que mantengan la práctica de la gramática. Para regularizar necesita el mismo porcentaje de asistencia, aprobar los 3 parciales en primera o segunda instancia, no importa el puntaje ni el promedio, y 70% de los trabajos prácticos, más la aprobación de los quizzes gramaticales. Bueno, ¿alguna pregunta?
Buen día, profe.
Buen día.
Yo y una compañera que no se pudo conectar porque está en el médico, no llegamos a inscribirnos en la inscripción previa, pero el semestre que viene empezamos con quinto y queríamos saber si la podíamos cursar de todas formas.
¿Se han aprobado B1?
Ella la tiene que rendir ahora en regular y yo lo pensaba sacar libre porque, o sea, yo he cursado inglés toda la vida y no,
Si lo
no
pueden
tengo.
rendir ahora, en la primer mes especial, sí, podríamos llegar a conversarlo. Si no rinden
Sí,
B1, no pueden cursar B2.
sí, yo no tengo problema. Y como en mecatrónica nos salía como materia separada, esto nos sale como técnico.
Claro, es técnico, vos sos de mecatrónica.
Sí,
Entonces, con más razón, tienen que tener primero el B1 rendido y aprobado.
bien, pero lo podemos cursar de todas formas
¿Cuándo pensás rendir B1?
podría rendirlo en la mesa especial, yo creo que no tengo problema. Lo iba a
La de
rendir
fin
ahora en
de
las
este
mesas de
mes.
junio, pero como hubo una sola mesa no pude.
Bueno, mira, podrías empezar a cursarlo condicional hasta fin de mes que rindas B1.
Bueno, bueno, bien. Muchas gracias.
No hay por qué. Bueno,
Profe, yo también soy de mecatrónica y quería preguntarle, las inscripciones por el guaraní, ¿cómo se hacen? Porque yo me fijé y no me deja inscribirme.
mira, ese tema lo tienen que ver con sección alumnos, ¿sí?
Ok,
Nosotros no manejamos las inscripciones por guaraní. Me atrevería a decirte que no te deja inscribirte, pero estoy asumiendo, que el inglés técnico 2 figura como una materia anual y como a todas
ajá,
las materias anuales tienen inscripción a principio de año.
ajá.
Eh, pero estoy adivinando. Así
Sí,
que
sí,
ese
con el
tema tenés
coloquial
que
pasa lo
consultarlo
mismo.
con clases. ¿Qué
Entonces,
hacemos?
no sé cómo lo
¿Qué hacemos en
solucionan a
los
eso.
casos? Bueno, eso es lo que les voy a explicar. ¿Qué hacemos en los casos en que no se han podido inscribir a principio de año? O que no los acepta el sistema guaraní. Cursan, rinden, promocionan, etcétera, o regularizan y después rinden libre. Pero si promocionan, lo que hacemos es después pedirles que se inscriban a una mesa como alumnos libres. ¿Mm? Y vienen ese día, el día de la mesa, y nosotros le pasamos la nota que obtuvieron en la promoción. O sea, no rinden el examen. ¿Me explico?
Sí, sí, ok.
De esa manera lo hemos estado solucionando hasta el momento, fíjate. En
Bueno,
parte,
muchas gracias, profe.
pero se hace. No hay por qué. ¿Alguna otra pregunta?
Profe, hola, buen día.
¿Qué tal? Buen día.
Eh, dijo que iban a hacer dos parciales orales y uno escrito.
Al revés. Dos
Al
escritos y uno
revés.
oral.
Ah,
Ujú.
perfecto.
Dos
Gracias.
escritos, uno en septiembre más o menos, finales de septiembre, el otro a finales de octubre, si no me equivoco, y la semana siguiente o sea, el tercer parcial, que es el oral.
Ah, bueno, gracias.
No hay por qué. Em,
Hola,
mis
Miss.
horarios
Bueno,
ahí te
ah,
dejo. Mis horarios de consulta
sí.
por cualquier cosa son los jueves de 9:30 a 10:30. Les pido que en general se manejen con los horarios de consulta por cualquier tema que tengan, cualquier tema personal que tengan. Eh, Tratemos de no manejarnos por mail, sino entrando al horario de consulta del día jueves. ¿De acuerdo? Dentro de lo posible. Ahora sí,
Estos quiz se aprueban con 60, ¿no? Los que son al final
sí,
de con...
se
Ah,
aprueban con
listo.
60. Sí,
Listo, gracias.
no hay por qué. Bueno,
Otra duda, profe. Para
diga,
matricularnos en la,
en el
en la
aula
mayor.
los tengo que matricular yo.
Ah, bien.
Ahí
Perfecto.
sí eh, necesito que me escribas para tener tu nombre y te matriculo. A ver, voy a tratar de
Bien.
matricularte ahora para que tengas acceso al material.
Eh, ¿Lo escribo en el chat o lo envío
No, no, estoy viendo tu nombre ahí,
Ah,
Ignacio Berridi, ¿verdad? Bueno, mientras tanto me quieren ir preguntando otra cosa.
Profe, yo tampoco estoy matriculado.
muchas gracias.
Contame tu caso.
No, no, yo no hago nada, voy a cursarla, tengo aprobado ya el B1
¿En qué año estás?
en cuarto de mecatrónica.
Ok. Entonces, Berridi y Tous, ¿verdad? Los
Profe,
voy a
yo
matricular
tengo
ya,
problema.
así pueden entrar, acceder al material. ¿Quién me habló?
Profe, y a mí
No,
también, si puede ser, que ayer me parece que... No, no
Ya
sé
estás
si...
matriculado,
Ah, sí, porque no podía acceder al material.
pero al aula pudiste acceder.
Sí, pero ahí ya podía acceder antes. O sea, me sigue diciendo que el material está restringido.
¿Al aula de examen o al aula de cursado?
Mm. Ah, a la de examen, me
No,
parece
no.
que es.
Claro, a la de cursado.
Ah, la de...
Tenés que
Ah,
entrar
bien,
al aula de cursado. Ajá,
busco la de cursado, gracias.
de nada. A ver.
profe, a mí también, si puede, por favor.
decime cuál es tu caso. ¿En qué año estás? Si tenés aprobado B1.
Sí, tengo aprobado B1 y, o sea, el año que viene estaría cursando algunas materias incluso de quinto.
Este año que estás cursando cuarto.
Claro, tercero y cuarto. Algunas de tercero y cuarto.
Bueno, en ese caso, por ser tanto el número de alumnos, yo te voy a pedir que curses el año que viene, ¿sí? Porque
O sea,
a los
materias
alumnos
de
que
quinto.
todavía están en tercero, les estamos pidiendo que vuelvan el año que viene cuando ya estén completamente en cuarto o incluso quinto, ¿sí? Porque son demasiados alumnos para un curso de idioma. El año que viene vas a tener prioridad.
Pero entonces, o sea, a ver si yo entiendo bien. Para cursar quinto tengo que tener B2 aprobado, ¿no?
Eh, mm, estimo que no necesariamente. Se sacaron las correlatividades duras en ese sentido.
Sí, no, no hace falta eso.
Ya.
De hecho, tenemos muchos alumnos que están en quinto.
Profe, mi compañera que no pudo asistir ahora porque está en el médico, ¿la puede matricular también?
¿Cómo se llama y en qué año
An-
está?
igual que yo, estaba en cuarto de mecatrónica, Antonella Aldao.
Ya no tienen nada de tercero, ¿verdad?
Sí, nos quedan algunas materias de tercero.
Entonces también les voy a pedir, chicos, que cursen el año que viene, cuando ya no tengan nada de tercero y estén completamente entre cuarto y quinto, ¿sí?
Ok, vale, no hay problema.
Les agradezco y les pido disculpas. Lo que pasa es que no podemos tener en un año tantos alumnos.
Bien. Bueno, muchas gracias, profe.
No, por favor. ¿Alguno más que esté en la misma condición, que todavía esté en tercero, que no haya cursado el B1 conmigo en el primer semestre?
Profe, yo el año pasado cursé el B1, quedé regular. Bueno, el A2 lo tengo sacado también, sí, pero iba a cursar ahora el B2 y pensé sacarlo en la especial, al B1. Y yo estoy en cuarto y me queda solo una materia de tercero, pero puedo cursar quinto igual. O sea, pensé que
Sí,
había
pueden
sacado
cursar
seis.
quinto igual. Pueden, pueden
Ah,
cursar quinto igual.
pero
Em, bueno, con una materia quédate, porque
bueno,
aparte ya te matriculé. Ya no te voy a hacer.
y tengo otro compañero que está
Pero de
en
todas
la quinta.
maneras, lo que es imprescindible es que rindas B1 ya.
Sí,
¿Mm?
sí.
Quedarías condicional a la aprobación de B1, ¿sí?
Bueno, y tengo otro compañero en la misma situación que hoy fue el médico y no vino ahora por eso, y es Gabriel Cabrera.
Ah, bueno, después que hable conmigo él
Bueno,
particularmente en horario de consulta, por favor.
bueno,
Bueno,
Entonces, todas las semanas va a haber assignment igual que en el B1.
sí, assignments orales toda la semana. El ritmo ese pesado de tener que estudiar algo va a seguir estando para compensar el poco tiempo que tenemos para practicar el día del curso.
Perfecto.
Bueno, bueno, empezamos con la clase. Estoy buscando una posición donde no me da tanto el sol. La pantalla ahí está. Bueno, I'm going to share my screen with you and then switch into English. Okay. Are you familiar with the concept of extreme interviews?
No, miss.
No,
No, miss.
you have never heard of them. Any idea what they are? Any idea that comes to your mind when I say extreme interviews?
Crazy questions, maybe.
Crazy questions. Yes, they have to do with crazy questions. For example, can you see the one that is there? The one in the photo? Can you see my screen, by the way?
No, miss.
On
No,
page
miss.
6. Ah, you can't see my screen. Okay. How about now?
Yes.
No, yes.
All right. So, what's the question asked here in this extreme interview? What question is the guy asked?
What sort of dinosaur would you be?
What sort of dinosaur would you be if you were a dinosaur, of course? And what's the answer of the interviewee? What does he answer?
T-Rex.
Come on.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
What does he say to that question? Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Miss se trabó.
Welcome back. Connectivity. And share my screen again. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Suddenly I was asking a question and there was no answer. I was wondering why. It was not a difficult question. Okay, yes. The question is, what sort of dinosaur would you be? What's the interviewee's answer to that question? What does he answer?
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
A Tyrannosaurus Rex. Okay. So, can anyone read the beginning, the title to the interview in the beginning? To the interview, no, to the article? Claribel, can you?
What sort of...
Sorry, Elia.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay, me?
Yeah.
Okay. Extreme interviews. What sort of dinosaurs are you? If you answer Tyrannosaurus Rex, then the bad news is that you probably won't get the job you're applying for.
Good. So if the applicant, who is the interviewee, yeah, answers the Tyrannosaurus Rex, he wouldn't probably get the job. Why do you think that would be? Why do you think he wouldn't get the job if he said that he would be a
Because
Tyrannosaurus Rex?
he's a little bit aggressive.
Maybe because it shows aggression. Any other possibility?
It's violent.
Yes, it shows violence. Okay. Now we're going to read, yes, the whole article, and you're going to tell me what the article is about. Okay, so read paragraph 1 and paragraph 2 and get ready to talk about them. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, you can ask vocabulary, ask about vocabulary and pronunciation.
Miss,
Hmm?
what's the pronunciation of bizarre?
Bizarre.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Ready?
Miss, which is the meaning of deadly?
Deadly, mortal.
Ah, okay.
Not literal in this case, of course. I have a headache. I need to tap it up. Are you ready?
Yes.
So, Elias, according to what you have read, what are extreme interviews?
And they are interviews which
In
¿cómo
which
se, how do you say entrevistador?
interviewer?
Interviewer.
Interviewer. The word you have here.
In
which?
which interviewer, yes, interviewer through bizarre questions
Ask.
to candidates to candidates.
Yes.
Ask.
To candidates, to applicants, to interviewees. Good. And why? Why do they do that? What's the idea? What's the idea, Matías Gaviño?
The idea is to see how the applicant react.
How the applicant acts. Very good. Good. In particular, what is it that they want to see?
How quickly
Yeah.
I was thinking of what's the meaning of think on their feet.
On their feet. That's to say, to answer quickly.
Okay. So the idea is see how quickly they answer.
Very good. Good. And what does this show the interviewer or the employer? They can separate what to them?
They can separate the brilliant candidates from the merely very good.
Good. From the merely very good candidates. Yes. So according to them, brilliant candidates would speak or would answer much faster than just good candidates. All right. Let's read the following paragraph. Yes. And get ready to speak.
Miss, what's approach?
Approach, enfoque.
Miss, what's stranded? Stranded.
Stranded. Stranded means to be left behind, estar varado.
Okay.
Ready? Yes or not yet?
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Yes.
All right, good. Okay. Where did this new paradigm or new approach begin? Facundo Sanchez. Where did it begin?
It begins from on
In the past?
Sil-
Because
it's begun
okay.
on Silicon Valley in California.
Uh-huh. Good. Very good. There's an example here, Luciana. There's an example of a question asked in Google. What was the question?
Question was that if you are stranded on a desert island and you have 60 seconds to choose people of 10 professions to come with you, who do you choose?
Okay. And think, who would you choose? Who would you choose? Mateo. Mateo Musianisi. Who would you choose if you were stranded on a desert island?
I choose maybe
I would
a
choose.
doctor.
I would choose.
I would choose maybe a doctor
Okay, why?
because if I have a problem, I could uh, question to him
I could
what's
ask him.
I could ask him what's happening to me. What's happening to me?
Okay, good. Bruno, what besides a doctor, what would you choose? What other profession would you choose?
Maybe engineers.
Engineers, good. Very good. A type of engineer in particular? An engineer on a particular field?
Maybe chemistry.
Chemistry.
Because
Good.
he will know what we can eat or can drink, for example.
Ah, good, good. Yeah. And all right, let's read next paragraph. Are you ready?
No, yet, miss.
Not yet. All right.
Is what's flustered?
Sorry?
What is flustered? The second paragraph.
Flustered is to when you get scared, yeah, and you don't know what to do. That's to feel flustered. But we are not in that paragraph yet.
Okay.
Are you ready now?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Let's see. There's a famous person mentioned in this paragraph. Alan, what can you say about him? Of who he is, and why is he mentioned in the paragraph? Alan Martinez.
Steve Jobs is a famous man, and he was co-founder of Apple.
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 Yeah. And why is he mentioned in the paragraph? What's his relationship to extreme interviews?
Because Jobs pretend to be like a chicken and doing did some weird actions when he was interviewing for candidates.
Was interviewing a candidate.
Candidate, sorry.
Good. That's right. And he's even said to be cruel, a cruel job seeker. What's the reason? Why did he do this? Luciano Esperlaza. Why did he do such a thing, to pretend that he was a chicken?
He wants to see.
He wants here now in the present,
He
or in the past?
wanted to see the candidates' reactions.
Okay. That's the important part. All right, let's read that up to the end. The last 3 paragraphs. Ready? Are you ready?
Oh, yes, miss.
Okay.
Miss, what's the difference between perform and personality?
Personality is your characteristics. The person is the subject.
No, perform. Perform?
Perform.
Perform. Sorry.
Perform is a verb. Yeah, with it. Yes. Perform means to act, to do. And you also perform when you're an actor or an actress. You perform, yes, in a play. You perform in a movie. But also to perform means to do something, to proceed. En Spanish decimos, vamos a evaluar la performance, o sea, el rendimiento, el hacer. And personality is the way you are.
Yes, okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Ready to speak? I heard a very shy yes. Someone?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Are you all ready to speak, or do you need a few extra minutes?
10 seconds.
10 seconds. All right.
Ready.
Okay. All right. Who is David Moyle? Who can tell me? Who can tell me who David Moyle is? Yeah?
He's a headhunter. He is a person who recruit people.
That's right. Where does he work?
He worked in Eximus Group in London.
Yes, he works for the Eximus Group in London. Good. He's the user of what question?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yes, what question does he usually use?
He usually use the...
Use or uses?
Uses.
Okay.
Dinosaurs question.
Dinosaurs
question.
Okay, good. And what does he say about this kind of interviewing method? Horacio, what does he say about this method for interviewing people?
That kind of interviewing is used by us to give someone an opportunity to show they are smart and not easily flustered.
Flustered. Yes. And what's the idea? What else does he say about this? Bruno Campati. What's the idea?
Please?
Yes. What else does he say about this type of interviewing? About candidates?
That is not to crush them. That they give the opportunity to show their personality and how they perform on an interview.
Good. Not just how they perform in an interview. That's why you have rather than. Rather than means en lugar de.
Perfect.
Good. Okay. But what's the That's the interview, right? But what about staying in the company? What does staying in the company requires? What does staying in the company require? Anyone? Do you understand the question?
It will depend on what sort of dinosaur you really are.
Okay, it will depend on what sort of. Remember the pronunciation of dinosaur. Say dinosaur. Dinosaur.
Dinosaur.
All right. Okay. All right. Another question. If you were at an interview and the interviewer started clucking around you and flapping his arm, what would you do? Like Steve Jobs did. What would you do?
I would think
I would feel very confused.
Okay, good. Martin, what would you do?
Probably I clap my hands.
I would clap.
I will clap my hands.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. As a signal of approval.
Yes.
Okay. What else? Someone was also going to say something.
I would laugh. I would think he's crazy.
Probably. Would anyone leave the meeting? No, you wouldn't leave the meeting. Would
No,
anyone
maybe-
start clacking around with him?
Yes.
Who would?
Maybe I would flapping my arms and making clacking noise too.
Okay.
With him.
All right. Good. Okay. Have you ever been interviewed for a job?
Not yet.
No, always.
No. Have you ever been interviewed for an internship application? You know what an internship is?
No.
No, miss.
No.
No.
Las pasantías. Internship. Have you ever been interviewed for an internship application?
No.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Well, I can ask you about what you have been asked. Never mind. We're going to listen now to people who have been interviewed, and they're going to tell about their experience, and especially because they were asked bizarre questions. It was the interview they went through was an extreme interview. So you have to complete this chart. Can you see the chart in your book?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I will strongly recommend you to print the book so that you can see both the screen and the book, and you can write down. Okay, so try at least unit by unit to print the book. Okay, it's important. Your hand is a recorder. So when you write, you record. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll strongly advise you to print the book. Well, you're going to complete this chart with the questions, the strange questions that they were asked. Then, yes, on a second listening, you're going to complete the rest of the chart, the answer, and what happened in the end. Okay? So on first listening, we're going to complete the questions, and on second listening, we're going to complete the rest of the chart. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. You can see the arrow. Okay. Can you hear?
No.
No. Because I have to share sound as well and they haven't. Share sound. Now you're supposed to hear. Hang on.
1.9. 1.
Can you hear now?
I was being interviewed for a job with an advertising agency, and the interviewer kept checking information on my CV and then asking me about it. And he saw that. He said, "Oh, I see that you studied philosophy at university. Do you still practice philosophy?" So I said, "Well, I still think a lot." Anyway, he obviously liked the answer because I got the job.
2.
At my job interview to become an editor with a publishing company, there were 3 people asking questions. 2 managers and a woman from... All the questions had been pretty normal. He's an experience. And then, suddenly, the woman from Human Resources asked me, "What would make you kick a dog?" I was totally flustered, but I managed to answer. I said, I'd only kick it if the dog had bad grammar and couldn't punctuate properly. I thought it was quite a clever answer, and in fact, I got the job.
3.
When I was applying for a teaching job in Korea, they were doing the interviews by phone because I was in the US. And because of the time difference, they were all very early in the morning, which is not my best time. Anyway, the director of studies of this particular school asked me, "How tall are you? And how much do you weigh?" I answered his questions, but after the interview, when I thought about it, I decided that I didn't want to work in a school that would judge me by my height or my weight. So later, when they offered me the job, I turned it down.
4.
I was being interviewed for a job with a company in Switzerland, and the interviewer asked me, "What animal would you like to be reincarnated as?" So I said a cat, because it was the first thing I thought of, and because cats have a good life. Well, at least in Britain they do. And then the interviewer immediately looked a bit embarrassed and said that he had been told to ask me that question to see how I would react, but that he thought it was a stupid question. In the end, I didn't get the job, so maybe the interviewer wasn't very fond of cats.
5.
I went for a job in a lawyer's office. There were 2 of us waiting to be interviewed, me and a man about the same age as me. And he was nice, so we were chatting before we went in, and we agreed to have a coffee afterwards. Well, I went in first, and they asked me the usual sorts of questions about my previous job. They had all my personal information on my CV, and so they knew I was married, and suddenly they asked me, "Are you planning to have children?" I said, "Not in the immediate future, but maybe one day." Afterwards, when I was having coffee with the other candidate, I asked him if he'd been asked the same question, and he said no, even though he was married too. In fact, we both got offered jobs, but I still think it was a very sexist question to ask.
All right. Could you complete the questions?
Yes.
Could you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Sofía. What's question number 1? Sofía Ibáñez.
Yes, miss. Do you still practice philosophy?
Good. And Francisco Miranda, question 2.
Yes, ¿me escuchas?
Yeah.
What would make you kick a dog? I think.
Yes, what would make you kick a dog? Number 3, Rocio.
How tall are you and how much do you weigh?
Good. And number 4, Leandro. think he doesn't have good Wi-Fi connection. Okay, Facundo Montevaro, number 4. No, it was my internet. Can you hear me?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So,
Facundo is writing in the chat.
Okay. And let's see what he's written. All right. Okay. Who can answer question, or who can tell me what question number 4 is?
Please, I can do it if you want.
What?
Okay.
What animal
What
would you
animal?
like to?
Would you like to be
Reincarnate as.
reincarnated as? And the last one, number 5.
Are you planning to have children?
Okay. Are you planning to have children? Now we're going to listen to their experiences again. We're going to complete here their answers, yes, and what happened in the end. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Yes. No. Sentences.
1.9. 1.
I was being interviewed for a job with an advertising agency, and the interviewer kept checking information on my CV and then asking me about it. And he saw that I'd studied philosophy at university, and he said, "Oh, I see that you studied philosophy at university. Do you still practice philosophy?" So I said, "Well, I still think a lot." Anyway, he obviously liked the answer because I got the job.
2.
At my job interview to become an editor with a publishing company.
What did the candidate answer to the question, do you still practice philosophy?
Answered, I still think a lot.
I still think a lot. Good. And what happened in the end? Did he get the job?
He got the job.
He got the job.
He got the job. So the interviewer must have liked the answer or not?
Yes.
A good answer.
Yes. Why did he ask him that question?
Because he have studied philosophy in the university.
He have or he has? He
has studied.
He has studied, or he had studied because it was up to the past. He had studied.
Okay.
Because we are seeing it from another point of view. And okay, second class.
At my job interview to become an editor with a publishing company, there were 3 people asking questions. 2 managers and a woman from human resources. All the questions had been pretty normal. They were about my studies and experience. And then, suddenly, the woman from human resources asked me, "What would make you kick a dog?" I was totally flustered, but I managed to answer. I said, I'd only kick it if the dog had bad grammar and couldn't punctuate properly. I thought it was quite a clever answer, and in fact, I got the job.
All right. What did she answer to the question, what will make you kick a dog?
She would kick the dog if the dog had bad grammar and punctuation problems.
Okay, if the dog had bad grammar and couldn't punctuate properly. Say it.
Okay. And
say
couldn't
it.
punctuate properly.
Properly. Good. Or if the dog didn't have good punctuation. Okay. What happened in the end? Did she get the job?
Yes, she got the job.
Yes. Okay. Why did she answer that?
Because it is supposed to be a funny answer, I guess.
It is supposed to be a funny app. Okay, good. And number 3.
Three. When I was applying for a teaching job in Korea, they were doing the interviews by phone because I was in the US. And because of the time difference, they were all very early in the morning, which is not my best time. Anyway, the director of studies of this particular school asked me, "How tall are you?" and "How much do you weigh?" I answered his questions, but after the interview, when I thought about it, I decided that I didn't want to work in a school that would judge me by my height or my weight. So later, when they offered me the job, I turned it down.
Okay.
4.
Okay, what did he answer the questions that they had asked him?
Yes, he did.
Yes. But what happened in the end?
He decided not to accept the job.
He didn't, sorry?
He refused the job.
I can't get the word in the middle. He
decided not to accept the job.
He refused the job.
decided not to accept the job. Very good. Why?
Because he didn't want to work on a school in which he was judged and judged by their height. Their height.
Okay. Their height or his weight?
Because he was a bullied person.
Because he was a?
Bullied person.
Because bullied.
Bullied.
Maybe he felt probably bullied or not. Okay. So he turned. Remember this expression. He turned out the job. Okay. The last one. No, the number 4.
I was being interviewed for a job with a company in Switzerland, and the interviewer asked me, "What animal would you like to be reincarnated as?" So I said a cat, because it was the first thing I thought of, and because cats have a good life. Well, at least in Britain they do. And then the interviewer immediately looked a bit embarrassed and said that he had been told to ask me that question to see how I would react, but that he thought it was a stupid question. In the end, I didn't get the job, so maybe the interviewer wasn't very fond of cats.
5. I went for a job in a lawyer's
What
office.
did he answer to the question? What animal would you like to be reincarnated as?
A cat.
Why did he decide to answer that?
Because they
Claudia.
have...
Sorry.
Was it in the first thing he thought, and he thought they have a good life.
They thought they have a good life. Good. And what happened in the end? Did he get the job?
He didn't get the job.
No, he didn't get the job.
The interviewer didn't like cats.
Okay, he assumed that the interviewer didn't like it. What did the interviewer say about that question?
The interviewer thought that this answer was stupid.
The question was stupid. The question. He wasn't comfortable with the question itself.
Okay.
But he asked the question to see what?
How he reacts.
How he would react. Okay. And the last experience.
I went for a job in a lawyer's office. There were 2 of us waiting to be interviewed, me and a man about the same age as me. And he was nice, so we were chatting before we went in, and we agreed to have a coffee afterwards. Well, I went in first, and they asked me the usual sorts of questions about my previous job. They had all my personal information on my CV, and so they knew I was married, and suddenly they asked me, "Are you planning to have children?" I said not in the immediate future, but maybe one day. Afterwards, when I was having coffee with the other candidate, I asked him if he'd been asked the same question, and he said no, even though he was married too. In fact, we both got offered jobs, but I still think it was a very sexist question to ask.
Okay. So, are you planning to have children? Gonzalo, what did she answer?
That she wasn't planning that in the immediate future.
That?
But probably yes, in
One day.
another time.
Yes, in another moment. Yeah.
In another moment.
And what happened afterwards? Who were in who were the applicants for the job?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yes, who were the applicants for the job? Only her?
No, there was another man married too, and he wasn't asked the same question.
Okay, he wasn't asked the same question. How did she, Agustina, how did she know that the man hadn't been asked that question?
Which is the meaning of asked?
Asked. Asked means there is the past of preguntar, and the past participle, preguntar.
Okay, could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. How did she know that the man hadn't been asked that question?
They were drinking a coffee and they were talking.
Yes, they went for a coffee afterward. That's right. Now, grammar. In this lesson, we are dealing with asking questions. Okay?
Okay.
First, let's remember that questions in English are not affirmative sentences with a question mark. Okay? They have a structure, right?
Yes.
Yes or no? Good. So it's something very important to do, to remember that they have a structure and not to transfer the affirmative sentence from Spanish, yes, and I use in a question intonation. No, that's not a question, okay? That's an affirmative sentence with a question mark and not a question. So try to make it conscious, try to be well aware of what you want to say, and if it's a question, to think, okay, I need to place the modal first, I need the auxiliary first, or the verb to be first, okay? For example, could you sing when you were little? Shall we start now? Am I right? How long have you been together? Will you stop? Yes?
Yes.
Sometimes with verb to be, sometimes with a modal verb like could or shall, or sometimes with an auxiliary, have. Did you notice any difference in intonation in the questions, or did they all have the same intonation?
Different intonation.
I read them again, and you will tell me which one is different. Could you sing when you were little? Shall we start now? Am I right? How long have you been together? Will you stop? Which one is different in intonation, in terms of intonation?
How long have you been together?
How long have you been together? That's different. That has falling intonation, while the other ones have rising intonation. Am I right? Yeah, it goes up. How long have you been together? It goes down. Can you see the difference? Can you not see the difference? Can you hear the difference? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Good. Why is that? Why do some questions have rising intonations while others have falling intonation? Or which questions have rising intonations and which questions have falling intonation?
Ones with modals have rising intonation.
Which ones? Sorry?
The modal verbs.
Not necessarily, it doesn't have to do with modes. It has to do with something else. Because of the type of question. Notice that could you sing well when you were little? Shall we start now? Am I right?
Como una propuesta.
Yes, no questions. Yes? While how long have you been together is an information question. Yeah? So yes, no questions have rising intonation while information questions have falling intonation. Okay? So as try to incorporate that intonation to the extent that you can remember. Try it. All right. Questions with present and past simple. And this is in these cases is where you use an affirmative sentence with question intonation or question mark. But don't forget, where did you find it, or do you believe in ghosts? Don't forget about did and do, all right?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Negative questions. How do you frame negative questions? Negative questions. Are you listening to my husband scolding my children? Okay. Well, whenever you ask a negative question, which is possible, yes, probably was a big question that you had, didn't you? Wasn't it a question that you have? Are negative questions possible in English or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are possible. And you ask negative questions by using the negative auxiliary. For example, why don't you come too? And in this case, we are using a contraction, right? Why don't instead of why do you not? This is important here for you to bear in mind. When you use the contraction, the contraction comes before the subject. Can you see that?
Yes.
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 But when you don't use the contraction, you use the auxiliary and the negative particle. For example, why did you not come? You have to split it into two and the subject comes in between. Can you see it? Why did you not come?
Yes.
Why did you not tell me? How could you not sing? I don't know. And aren't you excited with the idea? All together at the beginning, before the subject. Or separate it, yes, and the subject in the middle. Is this not a good idea? Okay, try to read them, yes, and make them sound in your head. Que suenen en la cabeza. Yes?
Yes.
Did you do it? Yes? Did you repeat them in your head? Hmm?
Yes.
Good. Stranded prepositions. Whenever you have a preposition in the question, that preposition must be at the end. Yes, stranded. That's left behind, like the being stranded in a desert island. In Spanish we say, ¿con quién fuiste? ¿A dónde vas? And the preposition goes at the beginning. Yes? But not in English. In English, that preposition goes at the end. You start the question with the question word, for example, what, when, where, and the preposition goes at the end. They are separated. For example, what are you looking at? What are you listening to? Yeah? Who does this book belong to? And then you put it all together. The book belongs to Peter. What are you looking at? I'm looking at the sky. Yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Again, read them again, yes, silently, and make them sound in your head. So that it comes, so that it's part of your reservoir, yes, and it's available for you to use them, and it sounds natural to you. Make a sound in your head. What are you looking at? Who does this book belong to? Yes? Okay. When we ask a question with who, do we include the auxiliary or we don't include an auxiliary? For example, does. Do you include does or not?
No.
Not.
Yes or no?
No.
For example,
no,
who can tell me?
Never.
Who can tell me? Never. Well, it's not never. It depends. It depends on whether you're asking about the subject or the object of a sentence. What's the subject and what's the object? For example, the verb tell has two arguments. One the subject, the other one the object. For example, he told me, or not?
Yes.
Okay, he is a subject and me is the object. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to know who told you or who told me, you're not going to use an auxiliary. You're going to say who told you. But if you want to know about the object, you need the auxiliary. Yes? Who did you tell it to? Or who said that? You're asking about the person who performed the action of saying. You're asking about the person who said. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
But in the question, who do you live with? You're not asking about. You're asking about the person that lives. You're asking about the person you live with. Yes? Not the subject, the object. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Who do you admire most? I admire my dad. My dad is the object. or not?
Yes, yes.
And that who refers to my dad. Can you see the difference?
Yes.
Okay. Any doubts so far? No doubts? Okay. This is the most important part of the lesson. What comes next? Well, who said that? I did. I live with my mom. What time is it? Indirect questions. If you want to know the time, for example, you have two possibilities. To ask straightforward, what time is it? And it's okay. Or would you be more polite? You could be more polite by saying, would you tell me what time it is? What's the difference between the first question and the second question? Look at the end. Look at the position of
The verb to be.
the verb. Where's the verb to be in the first question?
Is.
Where is it? Where is it placed?
Is before it. Before it.
Good. The verb to be goes before the subject.
Before the subject.
Yes, because it's a question.
Yes.
But here in the second question, would you tell me what time it is? The verb to be goes after the subject. You have subject verb, as if it were an affirmative sentence, or not?
Yes.
It is. Good. The reason is that in this part of this is not the question. The question is, would you tell me? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
And the rest has to be phrased as an affirmative sentence. Compare. Where does she work? I need the auxiliary does, because it's a question. But then you can say, do you know where she works? Because the question part is, do you know? And what I want to know is where she works. Can you see?
Yes.
Can you see the difference? I don't use auxiliary here. I phrase it as an affirmative sentence. Compare. Where have I left my glasses? With I don't know where I have left my glasses. In this case, I'm not asking a question. I'm just saying that I don't know. And of course, I expect help, but I'm just saying that I don't know something. And that something is affirmative, not question. Okay?
Okay.
Good. Indirect questions. Don't forget. Okay. Grammar practice. Do both activities. I don't know the page. Let me see the page. Let me see what page it is. It's page
133.
130?
32.
32. Okay, thank you very much. 132. I will share my screen once more so that you can see it. There. I'm here and you can ask me any questions you have, okay?
Make questions.
Then I'm going to upload the PowerPoint presentation so that you can see it again whenever you need.
Who maybe I should. Me práctica. Venga, vamos a hacerlo. Vamos a hacerlo. Vamos a hacerlo. How I feel should her. Concha tu madre, no está re picante. Vamos a verlo. Friends no longer best have how to jar. How long you have known how long you have known your best friend. Could you when could you leave? Could you tell me when después could you tell me when the train leaves, the next train leaves? When the next train. Should I how I tell her I feel? Should how creo que se sea should how tell her should I tell her?
Are you ready? Now, right?
No. Not yet.
Should I tell
Not yet.
how I feel? Yes. Nice. 4. Who does the housework? In your family. 5. What are you thinking about? Thinking about. 6. What do you like? Don't weaken you. What you allora dachte mir das siete. What can like this thing of? What does Jane kind of music? Kind of music. What does kind of music? What does kind of music?
Miss, do we have to do both exercise or only the first?
Yeah, both. Both.
Listening to Jane. 8. Do you know finishes? Do you know? Do you know what? Do you know what time? Do you know what time the film finishes? Yes. Do you remember where is the restaurants? How many students come class yesterday to come to you? What? Looking at what doing the like? Don't we get?
Have you finished?
No, yet.
No. Let's hold for a few moments. 2 more. Hang on. Have you finished?
Yes.
Okay. Have you all finished?
Yes. Yes.
Great. So, mm, let's see. Rocio, you'll read number 1. Franco Santoni, number 2. Felipe, is that you? Felipe Poliafito?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Number 3. Juan Ignacio Cámpora, number 4. Magali, number 5. Agustina, number 6. Agustina Ortega. Agustina Ricarte, number 7. Carolina, number 8. Franco de Marchi, 9. Kalindi, 10. Okay, let's do it.
Number 1. Shall I tell her how I feel?
Very good. Should I tell her? Now, let's try to improve intonation and rhythm. Repeat after me. Should I tell her how I feel?
Should I tell her how I feel?
Sí, se cayó. Dale, Luciano, continúo con la clase. Ok. Number 2. Luciano Perlaza. Igual viste que tarda un ratito y después vuelve con el taco este que se encarga de del Zoom.
Ahí estuvo.
Dale, perfecto.
Bueno, un beso, cuídate.
Dale, gracias. Chao, chao. Okay. So sorry, but the lights went out. Are you still there?
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Okay. So I'll share my screen once more and we'll check. I was asking you to repeat intonation and rhythm. Here. Okay. Should I tell her how I feel? Repeat after me. Should I tell her how I feel? Come on.
Should I tell her how I feel?
Should I tell her how I feel? Come on.
Should I tell her how I feel?
Well, tell her how I feel.
Okay. Number 2.
Should I tell her
How long have you known your best friend?
How long have you known your best friend? Good. Number 3.
Will you tell me when the next train leaves?
Okay. Let's repeat. Could you tell me when the next train leaves? Could you tell me when the next train leaves?
When the next train leaves?
Would you tell me when the next train leaves?
Will you tell me when the next train leaves?
Leaves. Good. Number 4.
Who does the housework in your family?
Huh? Who does the housework in your family? Who does the housework in your family? Come on.
Who does the housework in your family?
Good. And what are you thinking about? Number 5. Sorry.
Me tocaba a mí.
Yes, say it.
What are you thinking about?
Good. Very good. Number 6.
What don't you like doing at the weekend?
Okay. Remember that it's weekend.
Weekend.
Good. What don't you like doing at the weekend? Next one.
What kind of music does Jane like listening to?
Okay. What kind of music does Jane like listening to? What kind of music does Jane like listening to? Come on. What kind
of music does
Jane
like
listening to? Number 8.
Do you know what time the film finished?
Finishes.
I'm sorry.
Okay, now repeat. Do you know what time the film finishes?
Do you know what time the film finishes?
Okay. Finishes.
Finishes.
Finishes. Finishes.
Finishes.
Okay. And 9.
How many students came to class yesterday?
How many students came to class yesterday? How many students came to class yesterday? Say it. How many students came to class yesterday?
How many students came to class yesterday?
Okay. And 10?
Do you remember where the restaurant is?
Good. Do you remember where the restaurant is? Okay. B. Let me see. Claribel 1. Facundo Sánchez 2. Elias 3. Alan Vignolo 4. Mirko 5. Horacio 6. Luciano 7. Mateo 8. Bruno 9. Eugenio, 10. Come on.
Profe, hay un chico afuera de la clase que todavía no puede entrar.
Let's see. Yes. Come on. Number 2.
Who wrote Oliver Twist?
Mm-hmm. I'm moving this because it's disturbing. Come on. Next one.
Could you tell me how much this book costs?
Uh-huh.
I can't remember where I parked my car this morning.
Okay.
What kind of work does
Did
your
you enjoy
sister do?
your trip to Paris last weekend?
What work does your sister
Okay.
do? What kind of work does your sister do? What
Come on.
kind of work-
6.
What kind of work does your sister do?
Good. This is sister do. Mm-hmm. 7.
Who ate the last biscuit?
Okay. Biscuit.
Biscuit.
Biscuit. Okay. 8.
Do you know what time the swimming pool opens on Saturday?
Mm-hmm. 9.
Doesn't your sister like the present you gave her?
Uh-huh. And the last one. The last one, 10. Eugenio?
Sí, lo tenía silenciado.
Okay.
Would you have to play your music so loud? I can't concentrate.
Do you have to? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yes. Do you have to? Good. All right. Okay. That'll be it. Now I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll call the roll.
Miss,
Hmm?
can you repeat 9?
Sure. Just one sec. 9 is did your sister like the present you gave her?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other? Did you
Miss-
like me to repeat?
No sería, did your sister not like the present? Okay.
Because you have not there. That's right. Did your sister not like, or didn't your sister like? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sorry.
Miss,
I meant
can you repeat number 1?
number 1. How often do you usually exercise?
Okay.
Any other?
Miss, number 9. Didn't your sister like or doesn't your sister like?
I would say didn't because of the past, but you can also say it in the present. Doesn't she like now the present you gave her in the past?
Okay.
It's acceptable.
No, miss.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so I'll call the roll now. Have you all enrolled? Okay, if there's someone not in the list, I will write his name now. Don't worry. Hang on. This is a bit slow, so please be patient. Okay. De Marchi,
Here, Miss.
Sánchez,
Present.
Facundo,
Yes.
okay. Ricarte,
Here, Miss.
Vignolo,
Here, Miss.
Cámpora,
Here, Miss.
López, Leandro, Santoni,
Present.
Da Rosa,
Present, Miss.
Martínez,
Present, Miss.
López, Yamil,
Present, Miss.
César,
Here, Miss.
Sánchez,
Sánchez Mirko.
sí, ya. Rodríguez,
Present, Miss.
Uriona, Gaviño,
Here, Miss.
Aguirre, Miranda,
Here, Miss.
ok, Salvarredi,
Here, Miss.
Gariñani,
Present.
Rollo,
Here, Miss.
Musiciani, Musianisi,
Present.
sorry.
No problem.